Are you up creek without a life jacket? Well, keep watching. Hey kids, and welcome to Designed by Wingnut Social. I'm your host, Darla Powell, and today's guest, Andrea Liebross, is no stranger to the show. She has appeared on 2 episodes previously, and you can head on over to wingnutsocial.com and check out those episodes. They're just as good as this one. And this one is all about the pain and torture that is whitewater rafting in your business. I kid, but there are some metaphors and some analogies here that I think are going to help set off some light bulbs in your head to help you make some decisions and have some deep and profound insight on where you are in your business, what you're willing to endure, what it looks like when you hit dry land on the other side, and most importantly, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Let me put my thing down. No, okay, sorry. ADHD. I have a song for everything. Are you one of those people? I am. Anyway, is it worth it? Right? So before we get into my show with the illustrious and wonderful Andrea Liebross, I want to tell you about Wingnut Social. Wingnut Social is a digital marketing agency for architects, interior designers, and to the trade, home furnishings manufacturers, and the ilk. If you do not know, I am a former interior decorator. I had an interior design firm in Miami, Florida, Darla Powell Interiors. And very long story short, my social media marketing efforts led other interior designers to help them get found by their ideal clients in the digital realm. I was featured in all kinds of magazines and Designers Today, Architectural Digest Pro, you name it. You can Google Darla Powell, you'll see them all. And, well, I think you'll see them all. You should see them all. And other interior designers are like, how the hell have I never heard of you? And then suddenly you're everywhere. Well, we can do that for you as well. So head on over to wingnutsocial.com, hit that Let's Chat button, and let's see how we can work together. Okay, before I get into my conversation with Andrea Liebross, you know the drill. Andrea Liebross is a certified business and life coach specializing in empowering female entrepreneurs to think and act like CEOs. She is known for her transformative work with ambitious women and is the author of She Thinks Big. And don't worry, fellas, there's a lot in this for you as well. The Entrepreneurial Women's Guide to Moving Past the Messy Middle and Into the Extraordinary. That's her book, She Thinks Big. I kind of messed up that read, but you get it. Andrea is dedicated to helping women achieve sustainable success and balance in their business and at home. She also hosts the Time to Level Up podcast, which is now the She Thinks Big podcast, by the way. Andrea, you got to update your bio. And lives in Indianapolis with her family. Wingnuts, help me in welcoming Andrea Liebross back to the show. Hey there, Andrea Liebross. Welcome back to the show. Long time no see. How the hell are you?
I am great. How are you?
I am also great. We are great together.
We are. We're finally together. We've tried to record this a couple times, but here we are.
Yeah, I know. Here we are. I always had some ailment or something or other coming up, and it's been kind of a rough year, but here we are.
It's okay.
And
we're back.
We are going to dig into your greatness. And I have to say that, Andrea, you've always been an amazing guest, so it will be worth the wait, I'm sure.
Definitely worth it. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to have you. Always. You're always amazing. You make my job so easy because I don't really have to do anything.
Perfect.
which is my motto in life.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
All right. So before we do dig in, for the unacquainted wingnuts who may have missed your greatness in prior episodes, you guys can go to wingnutsocial.com and just Google Andrea Liebross or enter that into the search bar and they will pop up. Tell the audience who you are, what you do, and let's do this thing.
Let's do it. So I coach female entrepreneurs. A lot of them happen to be interior designers, not all of them, but a lot of them are. And I coach them from kind of the beginnings of their business to some are making 7 figures. So my passion really is helping them to think bigger about their business and actually even about themselves, give themselves a little upgrade or up level and kind of help them access what I call future you. So it's the person that has reached the goal, that is doing all the things they want to do, that's feeling very free. So free, they've got freedom of time, of money, probably of energy, and they don't feel so, I'll call it like tied to the, I don't know what the, tied down or like heavy. Their business is heavy. I want to lighten it up. Like, let's have a little fun. So I help them kind of get through that messy middle piece. And there's always going to be another messy middle. Like, let's be realistic here.
That's true. Life is life.
Life is life. But helping them get through those messy middles, plural, and see the light on the other side. So that involves them probably creating some sort of business plan, implementing it, following it, and navigating all the things that happen along the way.
Yeah. So last time you were on, I think it was last time, is one of the two times you're on, where you talked about your book, She Thinks Big, and thinking, all right, big picture thinking, big thinking, because as women entrepreneurs, some men as well, we do have men in the audience, we tend to think small, right? We want to shrink a little bit. So if you guys did miss that again, I highly recommend you go back and listen to those episodes. But today we're talking about something that you call, and I have a feeling I'm on this boat, the river of misery. How does this tie in, and what the hell is it?
Yeah, the river of misery. So this is a concept that I learned from someone named Jody Moore. You can go Google her. But I find it extremely helpful when I am helping my clients achieve a challenging goal, or when I am helping them turn what might seem super impossible, like they don't even want to let themselves go there, having a 7-figure business, or working 3 days a week, whatever that is. This is a concept that really helps them work through that. So because sometimes we like to say to ourselves, oh, that person over there, they could do it because they're more skilled, or they have more time, or they have more money, or they're just more disciplined, or they're smarter, or what, like they've got connections, whatever that is. And that's not necessarily true. I think part of why they're getting to reaching that goal is because they're willing to sort of endure the pain and the suffering and the misery that goes with it. So that's where this concept of the river of misery comes into play.
So the misery itself is the actual doing, the running, the day-to-day, the reality of owning a business?
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'm going to use a lot of metaphors here. So this is good because you guys are all visual people, right? Really, I want you to think about this. When you have something like the flu, okay, you go take a flu test, it's officially the flu, or it's like, say it's officially COVID. That's probably a more relevant thing, okay? You know that 99.99% of the time that you're going to feel kind of miserable for a couple days, and then you're going to get back to normal. It might be a little slow, but you're going to get there. And so it makes going through those couple of crappy days a whole lot easier. Okay? Because you know what's causing this pain, we'll call it.
Right.
Okay? But when we don't know, and when you're wondering, like, do I have COVID? Do I have this? Do I have strep throat? Do I have the flu? Is it not COVID? Then your brain's all over the place, and it actually makes it a lot harder, right? It makes it a lot harder to get through. So when you own a business, there are some parts that are really kind of miserable.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're kind of thinking, like, is this even worth it? Should I be tolerating this? Like, a lot of times I just had a lot of conversations with someone. Should I tolerate this client? Like, should I just suck it up and keep working with them? That kind of thing. Well, when you don't know what's causing it, it makes it harder to get through. And this is why this river of misery concept is so important, because when you are choosing to go through something, knowing that on the other side, there is, quote unquote, a reward or a goal reached, you can actually do it. So here we go. Ready?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So when you are, I'm going to use losing weight as an analogy because everybody seems to be able to relate to this one, right?
Yeah.
So, okay.
Me included.
So you're like, all right, I want to lose 15 pounds, but I mean, I'm not like super duper overweight, and my life's just okay right now. I mean, I could cut out sugar, I could cut out carbs, but I don't know. You're kind of like splashing around, I call it, in the pond of misery. Okay.
Okay.
You're one day you're like, no sugar today. Okay. And then the next day you're like, well, that chocolate cake looks really good. So you're you're kind of miserable, but it's also super familiar, right? Because you've been in this place before, and this pond isn't so deep. And you also know that you could like jump out at any time. You can find a solution. You could just go buy new clothes that are a size bigger. You could, say, I'm not worrying about dieting right now. I mean, you could just cut it all off.
I've done all that.
All right. Right. It's okay. And ignore it. All right. So you can solve for being in the pond of misery in a whole lot of ways.
Okay.
Okay. Now, there's also another option that's available where you do get to your ideal weight. Okay. You could totally change your eating habits. You could exercise more. You could, there's millions of ways now, right? We can do this. So
you could take some glutide.
Take some, right. You could do that. So, and you start to see, oh, my clothes are fitting a little differently. I like the way my body works. And that's the place where people want to get to when they're working towards a goal. They want to start to see progress. They want to start to see, if I'm going to change these eating habits, it's totally worth it because things are happening. I'm getting to where I want to go. So between where you are now, maybe with the pond of misery, and the dry land where you're feeling amazing, there is what I call this river of misery.
Okay.
Okay. So it's kind of between the pond of misery and the dry land where you've reached the goal. Okay.
Okay.
So there, as you go down this river, things could actually get worse than they were in the pond because it's going to get harder. All right. There's going to be these days in your business where you are, you're so overwhelmed, you don't know what to focus on. There's going to be these days in your business where you're wondering, like, can I even handle these new clients maybe that are coming in? Like, that's an interesting place to be, right?
Yeah. It's a good place, but it's also a problem. Yeah.
It's a problem, right? And then you're going to think, well, that marketing campaign was a terrible idea. Like, why did I do that? Like, I might die now, like, because I can't handle all of this influx. Like, we might die in the river. Maybe I should just go back to the pond. It was okay with, 5 big jobs versus 10. I was okay there. I wanted more, but maybe it was just okay. So when you're in the river and you're making strides, there are times when your brain wants to go back to the pond. Okay.
Yeah.
And so again, if you go back to like that weight loss example, the river often looks like you not eating the foods you really want to eat, or tolerating maybe some deprivation, or changing taste buds or whatever. And you're like, well, I mean, is it really worth it? But then you start to experience some success and you keep going. So the river of misery is when you're feeling kind of the angst and the messy middle and the hardness of getting from the pond to the dry land. Okay?
Okay.
And but when you realize you're in it and you start to accept it, you start to say to yourself, well, maybe I'm just going to be miserable for a little while, like with the flu or a COVID. I'm just going to not feel great for a couple of days, and then I'm going to be better. It's not going to last forever. It's not going to last forever. So it's helpful to recognize as a business owner when you're in that river, because it's not going to last forever. And if it's not going to last forever, you're probably willing to keep going.
Okay. So I have a couple of things here that I wrote.
Tell me. I know you're writing down notes. Tell me.
The first one is, I feel like I'm whitewater rafting sometimes in that river, right? And to go back to your analogy about you have the flu, it's the flu, and there's a light at the end of that tunnel. You just, you're going to be miserable, but at the end of the flu, you're not going to have the flu. There's going to be medicine or something there, right? So, and in the pond, you're taking steps, you're making small progress, right? And you're not really going crazy and whitewater rafting in the river. But let's say you are on that river and you're trudging and you're going through and you're doing the business, but you don't have the flu pill, right? How do you know, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So how do you know that the river of misery is a messy middle, is a temporary thing that you're going to actually go and maybe you're going to get off that, get your land legs back for a minute before you get into the next messy middle?
All right. So think about whitewater rafting. If anyone's ever experienced whitewater
I
rafting.
haven't. I kind of want to, but I'm scared to.
I think you haven't?
I haven't.
Come on. You need to be doing that of all people. You like take risks. Let's go. Let's do it.
I do
I'll
take
go with you.
risks, not physical risks so
Right?
much, but yes. Yeah. After 18 years of being a cop, my physical risks are different now.
You're done with that. You're done with that, right? You're done with that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to even use a cop analogy, but let me use the first whitewater rafting analogy. So if you've gone whitewater rafting with a guide, okay, so most people let's get real. We go with guides. There's not too many people out there doing it by themselves. The guide is always trying to figure out, most of the time, what's the easiest or what's the most tolerable for the guests in the raft? What's the most tolerable path to get down the river? Okay, so when you're in the river, you have to recognize that really what you're doing is you're finding the most tolerable way to get down the river. So yes, it's hard, but there's an easier way. And if you don't have the flu pill, which is like magic, we'll call it, okay, what you have to do is kind of say, all right, yeah, but this way seems super hard. This is a level 3. Can we go for the level 1 that's still going to get me down the river? Yeah. And that comes with putting your life jacket on. Okay, so here's the life jacket. Put your life jacket on. Who's going to support you? Or what's going to support you? Who are you going to bounce your ideas off of? Okay, who's your guide in your raft? Right? That's a way it becomes a whole lot easier. But you've got to be willing to go through the river and stay in the river long enough to get to that dry ground without going back to the pond. I mean, that's the key to success. Like, are you willing to stick in the river for as long as it takes to get to the dry ground?
But how are we knowing how long it's going to take? How do we know?
Well, this is a magical question. I mean,
it is a magical question.
We don't necessarily know how long it's going to take.
Okay.
Right? We don't know how long the flu's going to last. There's an average, right?
That's
we
true.
don't know how long COVID
If it's me, it's 6 weeks.
Okay, 6 weeks. Right? But like you've experienced hard things before too. So your brain's like searching for evidence that you can get through this. Yeah. So I always ask my clients like, well, what evidence do you have in your life that you can get through a hard thing? You know, and then it can get personal too. Like, have you ever gone, I don't know, through a divorce? Have you ever lost a loved one? Have you yes. And you've gotten through it. So we do have evidence that you can get through it. We just don't know exactly how long it's going to take. We can have averages or guesstimates, but we don't know. And are you okay with that?
So what are some signs on this river, since we're doing metaphors, that if we're seeing it? So, right, we know that to be successful, sometimes we have to be strong and do hard things and get from one side to the other, right? Owning your own business or being successful is not easy in any way, shape, or form. But we also don't want to be unrealistic, right? We want to be able to see cues and see what's happening around us to know that, you know, the river's worth staying on. And I don't want to be negative Nancy, but I want to put this into more actionable takeaways, right? So we can look at it and say, because I think this is very inspiring, right? Because I think if someone's listening to this, they're like, wow, you know, I'm not the only one having a hard time. This is hard. It is hard. It could be so much easier to stay at the 9 to 5, right?
Totally.
But what do we look for on this river of misery when we decide, you know what, this isn't worth it? Okay, go.
I got it. Actually, 4 things. Number 1, is your raft inflated? Okay. Can you stay afloat? Okay. If you are running out of money, feeling like 100% overwhelmed, like it's affecting your health, like seriously detrimental to your health. Is it ruining relationships? It's time to get off the river. Right? Okay. It's if your river is if your raft is deflated and you're going to sink, get out. I would never say to someone, stay in that sinking raft. Okay? So that's number 1. Like, is the raft inflated, or is the raft truly deflating? Like, is that a fact, or is that just a feeling? Like, you feel like you're sinking, but you're really not. So I think do a fact check. Do a fact check, because our brains can spin into all sorts of places, right? So are you really sinking? That would be number one. Okay.
Yeah.
Number two, did you take your life jacket? You should not be on the river without a life jacket. Your mom always told you to put your life jacket on. You need to put it on. So who, what, entity, person, organization, thinking is supporting you? If you don't have support, you should not be on the river.
That's important. And you can get a ticket for not having your life vest. I also used to be in Game and Fish. So there
you go. I mean, see? Okay. Are you catching fish illegally? Do you have your license, right? Okay. Number 3. Can you see even a glimpse of the horizon? Can you see a glimpse of the dry land? Like, can you even let your brain go to that place where you have gotten to dry land, even if it's just for 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to, like, people are like, I have a hard time staying in this amazingly motivated place. And like, yeah, because you're human. I do too. Okay. But can you just for a second go there?
Yeah.
Okay. If you can't go there, there's no, dry land ahead. You can't even get a glimpse. Then I think I'd get off, because maybe you're just not ready yet to go down.
And to
river.
be clear, the dry land is envisioning this hard work, this toil and trouble.
Yep.
That's from a
Paying
Halloween, right? Paying off and being in a place. So then that means you have to come to grips with success and what that looks like for you, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That was number 2 or 3. I'm sorry.
I think, okay, so first was, is the wrap truly deflating? Like, is that a fact?
Right.
Or is that
Do we
just
have our
what your
life
imagination
jacket?
is telling
Okay,
you?
so now we're on
Do you have
3.
your life jacket? Can you see the dry land?
Oh, now we're on 4.
Okay, so now number 4.
Okay.
Do you have a map? Do you have any map? It does not have to be, think about it, whitewater rafting. Like, it's not super high tech. We're not in a fishing boat that's got the, longitude
GPS.
and latitude and degrees,
exactly.
the GPS. Okay. But do you have any sort of map? It could be crumpled up. It could be in your pocket. But are you out there with just a basic map? If you truly are just like, I don't know, I'm just going to throw spaghetti against the wall. Okay, that kind of thinking or feeling probably shouldn't be there. You've probably, you don't have to get down into the weeds, literally. Okay, but you do have to have a general map. I think that is a place where sometimes people go wrong. They don't have just a very basic map, or they're expecting, they're not even going to get on the river until they have the GPS with all of the longitude and latitude.
Yeah, paralysis by analysis. Right. Yeah.
Right. So, that's where also your life jacket comes into play. If you have a very general map, if something goes wrong, your life jacket's going to support you. Okay. So I think those are 4 things that come to mind as to whether or not you should get off the river or not even attempt to go down the river of misery.
All right, you guys know, or at least I hope you know, if you don't, I'm not doing my job, that we do full service social media management for you guys, interior designers, architects, and to the trade vendors or furnishing manufacturers, etc. But we are excited to announce our very new hybrid plan with Wingnut Social. It's kind of a half done for you, half you do it yourself sweet spot. If you're a beginning designer or a firm who's just really kind of getting started in social media marketing, but don't quite have the marketing budget to delegate it to a marketing firm, because that's a pretty decent size investment, right? This is our hybrid solution, and it's perfect for busy designers who the power of consistent professional content on Instagram. You've heard guest after guest and client after client say how they're getting leads from Instagram, right? But you have that overwhelm. You have no idea what to post, when to post, what the hashtags and captions should look like for a value proposition, a mix in order to reach your ideal client. Well, ta-da! Introducing the hybrid plan with Wingnut Social. You get a monthly content calendar where we create the content for you and you post at your leisure on your own time with our guidance. We're doing the posts. We're doing feed posts. We're editing reels for you. You get 8 feed posts, 2 reels. We're writing the captions for you. We are researching the hashtags for you that drive engagement with guidance, best practices, and quarterly strategy sessions to make sure that your strategy and everything is in alignment with your business goals. So if you want to find out some more information on our amazing hybrid plan, it's been very popular so far. Head on over to wingnutsocial.com and hit up that Let's Chat button and let's see how we can work together. Again, that's wingnutsocial.com. So the map is something just like maybe a short-term, long-term business plan, right? What are we looking to accomplish with this whitewater getting bumped off our raft and pulled back on?
I think it should be more than like, what am I going to do today? I think it should be actually more than what am I going to do this week? But I think if you say, all right, here's my plan for the quarter, right? Here's kind of where I might want to be in 90 days. It can be, I think that's a really reasonable amount of time. I'm going to try this. I'm going to give it a whirl. Like, think about marketing. I'm sure you've had clients come to you and be like, Darla, this isn't working. You're like,
no,
but
never.
You've only been doing this for it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, what were your expectations, right?
Exactly.
So it's too short a time. So you got to have like a 90-day map. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable amount of time to kind of loosely plan out what's going to happen.
I agree. And we actually have a 6-month minimum commitment because of that, right?
See,
so it takes a minute to really, once you start doing best practices and growing it's not an overnight kind of thing for sure.
No.
And I was going to say that I see a lot of designers that are coming to us at Wingnut for marketing that are a little bit on a river of misery and that have no map. Right. And nothing is working. And I'm guilty myself, not from a marketing standpoint, but from owning a business of not looking at my map, just winging it.
That's the other thing, winging it, no pun intended. The map really needs to be taped to the side of the raft, right? So I can be guilty of that too. I take my clients through this vision into action process, which is basically creating a map. And I always say we do it in Google Docs, so it can be accessed very easily. You can change it. Like, it's not saying you can't change course if you have to, but you need to print it out and just stick it up there so that you can remind yourself where you're going.
How detailed, we talked about paralysis by analysis, how detailed does this map need to be in order to just get started and have some kind of focus and direction?
I think that if we think about those 90 days, for example, you should have like 3 to 7 things that or stops along the river, right? You should have 3 to 7 areas of focus. And then for a quarter, no more than that. And then I always say, I challenge my clients, okay, break each of those 3 to 7 areas of focus, goals, whatever you want to call them, break those down into at least 5 parts, which is key, because that's what's going to tell your brain what to do this week, right? If we want to use like round numbers, let's say you're going to break it down into 6 parts, okay? And there's 12 weeks in a quarter. Okay, so the first 2 weeks, I'm going to do this. So a goal could be, to get my act together with marketing. Okay, like pretend that's the goal, and I'm sure that's some people's goal. It's a lot, it's a lot. So and they're like, and I want help with this. So first 2 weeks, research options. Oh, look, I found Darla. Okay, so research options. So the 2 weeks, don't spend any more time than that. You shouldn't even be looking. But anyway, research options. Okay, then number 2, weeks 3 and 4. Okay, talk to Darla, decide I'm going to move forward with it. Getting up and running with you is not going to take 20 seconds either, right? So if you kind of it's going to take us another 2 weeks to get us on board, then we're going to start to put things into action. It is going to take 3 months. I don't know, but you get my point. Right?
Not to get started,
can break it down,
right?
If you can break it down into at least 6 pieces of the puzzle, it's really helpful. I had a client today say, So she's going to do an event with Sunbrella. Okay. So
Nice.
Sunbrella, like
Yeah.
right?
Sure. Fabrics. Mhm.
So, yeah. So she's just like, that's what's on her list, like plan Sunbrella event. I'm like, okay, cool. This is going to be great, but let's break it down. She's like, I don't get, why do I just have to start in? I said, no, like who, okay, have we decided on a date and time? Yes. Number 1, create invite list. Number 2, decide how you're going to invite. Number 3, do we want to have food at this? Do we need to prep that? Number 4, who's going to say what? Number 5, how are you going to follow up with these people? Like you can really break it down. And that I think is so key in getting through this river of misery, because then she's like, oh, I can do that. Like I can create the invite. I already kind of know in my head, right? It becomes so much easier.
Yeah, and you're more thorough, and you're creating small things that you can accomplish and get through the river. I did have a question for you. So the river of misery, is there a world, and where let's say someone is not that, what's the word I'm looking for? That's not aggressive. What's the word I'm looking for?
Committed to go down the river?
No, not committed. But maybe they want to stay in the pond, right? They don't really want to be big. They don't want to scale.
Yeah.
They don't really want to be so complicated. They just want to have their little pond life. Is that an avenue to success of any sort?
I mean, it is. It's like, because how do we define success? If you're happy with where you are and you're good with splashing in the pond, like keep splashing.
But you can still be miserable in the pond too, right?
Well,
you might as well go on the river.
Well, there's the thing. I mean, if you are truly happy in the pond, and then I guess it wouldn't be called the pond of misery, but if you're truly happy just splashing around, fine. But I think this is where you have to start to question yourself.
Yeah.
Like, am I just splashing around in this pond because it's comfortable in the sense like I'm used to just kind of playing small?
It's
or
safe,
I'm just used to, it's safe. It's not that deep, remember. The pond isn't that deep. You're not going to drown. Okay, you might not even need a life jacket. Although you still could get a ticket from the
I'll give you a ticket.
Yeah. So like there's the, like, it's not so bad to be in the pond. You can be in the pond, but you've got to kind of like check in with yourself. Is this really where I want to go? And a lot of people don't really want to be there, but they'll say things to me like, well, my family comes first. I could never go down that river. I mean, I'm going to spend way too much time in it. It's going to be too hard, and everybody else is going to suffer. Okay, totally might be, there's truth in everything, right? There might be some truth in that.
Yeah.
But are those facts, or is that just what you're creating in your head? Like I always use the analogy of like, my kids come first. Well, my kids come first too. I can support that. But they can make their own peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, right? They can. And you're actually doing them a favor in teaching them how to do that.
So you don't want to crutch.
Right. Right.
You don't want a crutch as an excuse to bar you from being bigger, right? Thinking so just to make sure that you're touching in with yourself and making sure that is the reason. Or maybe we're making excuses. And or maybe we're not in the pond of misery. Maybe we're in the creek of misery.
Right. Maybe it's just a creek. Exactly. Or maybe you're testing it out. Maybe you're like, which path should I, like, I don't know. I forget all my geology. This is geology. Like the creeks feed into the river.
Sure.
Right?
The streams, the creek. Yeah.
Right. You're testing out which one should I go down. That's okay. That's okay. Sure. Yeah.
You can always change.
You can always change. But if you're happy in the pond, okay, then you need to change the name of the pond to the Pond of Happiness. And you really got to love it. You got to own it.
Yeah.
If it's not necessarily true happiness, then you kind of have to assess, why am I not willing to go down that river?
Yeah, I love it. This has been a very philosophical conversation,
know.
Which I really enjoy. But all this talk about rivers and ponds has made me have to go pee. I'm just imagining running water, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go pee.
Oh, that's so funny.
Andrea, this is really cool. This is why I love having you on the show, because you understand our audience. We're very visual. And I think speaking about topics in this kind of way just helps fire up different neurons in your brain that might open up a realization that you knew was there, but didn't know it was there, right? So I think maybe some light bulbs may have gone off on here. So what else do you want to add on this topic before we get into the fire round?
Okay. So I will add this. So let's say, and this is what I do with my clients. So I'm bringing this up because I've seen this happen. So
Sure.
let's say you do create your business plan. Okay. Or you've got like big goals. You got them down on paper. You're like all in, and you look at it and you're like, I'm so glad that I have this down. This feels very good to put it all on paper. But man, now I just feel overwhelmed in a different way. Right? So before you did it, you felt scattered and unorganized. Now you've done that work, but you feel overwhelmed. It's like a different version of overwhelmed. I really want you guys to this is the time when this river of misery kind of metaphor and thinking comes into play. Like this is when it's most useful, because this is where you kind of have to ask yourself, like, I've already decided by just going through that exercise, I've sort of decided I'm out of the pond. I don't want to be in the pond anymore. So now you got to kind of put your big girl pants on and your life jacket on. Be like, I can do this river of misery. I've seen so many people go whitewater rafting and have fun with it. Maybe this is, I want to throw in, maybe it's kind of fun. Even though it's hard, maybe it's a little kind of fun. So
it's rewarding. Yeah.
It's rewarding. So that's when this concept is another use of this concept. So
awesome.
I just wanted to throw that in there. Yeah.
And of course, you are a life jacket to a lot of people, right?
I could be a life jacket. I'm an option. I'm an option.
You are
it could be bright orange or I don't know, but
I kind of like the highlighter yellow.
Highlighter yellow, exactly, with the like buckles across the front.
Sure. Yeah.
No, I love being a life jacket. I mean, that's what I'm passionate about, being your life jacket along this river. And it's very rewarding for me to help guide you to be the brightwater raft guide. And that's, so if you're someone who's looking for a life jacket, kind of more of a general life jacket, like Darla is going to support you with a different life jacket. But if you're looking for more of a overall life jacket, I can help you with that. And then I can tell you need to go talk to Darla and she's got a different life jacket. So
yeah, I was just going to say that's my team loves to be a life jacket for marketing for our design clients and our vendor clients. And it makes me so proud because when I see them, we have Google Chat and we share stuff and they'll say, oh my gosh, this client got this new lead or this testimonial or something. And then they all just get so happy. And that is our why. That's why we do. Then helping, we're in business, of course. We want our own life. Yeah. We have mouths to feed, but without that, we would stay on a river of misery, I think. Right?
We totally would stay on a river of misery.
Yeah, for sure. You have to know what that why is. All right.
Yes.
Andrea Liebross, I may have asked you these before.
But that could have different answers today. Who knows?
But let's see where you're at. I'm sure you've grown as a person since then. Okay. So what would the hashtag on your tombstone be?
Unapologetically ambitious.
Ambitious. That was the word I was looking for earlier.
There you go. Okay. Unapologetically ambitious.
You're stuck on a deserted island, but you can have your favorite food forever. What is it?
Oh, man. Chocolate? I probably didn't say that last time, but I'm going to say it now.
Chocolate. I don't remember that. Like Hershey's chocolate or what kind of chocolate?
Like Hershey's chocolate, like solid, probably just dark chocolate. Not too high percentage though, because then I don't like bitter. That. Yeah. Too bitter.
I like you get your antioxidants, you get a little bit of carbs in there for survival, and you're going to have fish and coconuts. So yeah.
Exactly.
You can make your own like almond joys. Well, I guess you'd have to have the almonds. I guess without the almonds.
There might be a tree there. I don't know. Who knows? Or almonds grow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. Last but not least, please recommend a book that's impacted you personally or professionally.
Okay. So my book, She Thinks Big. That's a great book.
I know you were going to do that.
But I probably said this before, but I'm really a big believer in this one. The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks.
You did,
yeah. So that's would be a good one. The other one I just came across, like I just pulled off my shelf again, is The 1 Minute Manager.
That's a good one. It's been a while since I've read that one.
Yeah, but I just was like re-familiarizing myself with that this week. So that's another.
All right, so The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. You and I both share a love for that one, right? Because that's what really taught me to delegate outside of my scope of genius, right? Air quotes. Right. And The 1 Minute Manager, gosh, I haven't read that in like
I know. I forget who even wrote that one. Do you remember who wrote that one?
I have no idea. Google.
I don't know.
Google is your friend. The 1 Minute Manager. It's very popular and It was written by somebody, I'm sure.
Somebody wrote it. Exactly.
Andrea Liebross, please tell the Wingnuts where they can go to find out more about you and your life jacket services, and we'll call it a day.
My life jacket services. I think the best place to go is just to Andrea's with an S, linkswithan.s.com. And you're going to find a link to my own podcast called She Thinks Big, my book called She Thinks Big, and my website and all of my services. And I'm always open for a conversation, even if you just want to direct message me on Instagram, talk about life jackets. I'm in.
And fishing licenses. Your podcast is really great, by the way. I listened to quite a few episodes before our interview here. In fact, did you have it last time you were on here?
I did, but it was called, I just changed I've got about 190 episodes. So it was called Time to Level Up until a month ago.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
and then
I like it.
I changed the name to kind of more realign with the book and
well done.
All the things marketing.
Yeah, I approve. Well done.
Yeah,
I like it. How's
you.
It done since you've changed and rebranded?
I've gotten some great feedback. Yeah, no,
it's
and
really
I'm about to, I don't know when this episode's going to drop, but in the next month, I'm going to release my book in audiobook format. So that's kind of fun.
Oh, cool. I love audiobooks. Yeah. So this episode will release in about 2 weeks, so we should be good to go.
Oh, perfect.
All right, so
go to my website, get on my email list, because you're going to get, if you're on the email list, you're going to get a discount code for the audiobook. So you're going to get it for like 99 cents.
Ooh, la, 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 la. All right, good. We'll do. Yep. Andrea, thank you so much for joining me again and being so patient. You're a delight as usual.
Thanks for having me.
All right, kids. So where are you? Where are you on the raft? On the river of business, on the river of life. When I came up with whitewater rafting, man, I think that was a pretty decent analogy to owning your own business sometimes, right? It can seem that way without a guide, getting thrown overboard, hitting your head on the rocks, drowning and dying. But, you get resurrected most of the time, unless you give up. You have to have that grit and that tenacity to keep going and know what kind of flu pill you're taking, right? When you get to the other side with a map and a business coach or a life jacket or someone to talk to and make sure that your strategies are sound in your business and have that heartfelt, deep look inside to see, gosh, is it worth it? Is what I'm doing worth it? Is it fulfilling me? Is it making me happy? Am I staying afloat? Is it worth the stress? I tell you, when I was working for someone else, right? I was a former, I am a former police sergeant. There was a lot of stress, right? Of course, inherently in that job. But there was also a lot of not stress, knowing that someone else had to worry about paying me, right? Someone else had to worry about paying all the other 3,000 cops on the police force, right? I went in, I did my job, I went home, and that was that, with, some exceptions, of course, which goes with the job. But when you own your own business, no one really tells you, or maybe they are now, how much stress and worry and angst and hair pulling and whitewater rafting is involved. So there's a lot, and I want you to know that you're not in it alone. Right. And it's getting harder and it's getting harder. And it seems like small businesses are getting punished or penalized sometimes in some ways. Hopefully we're able to take some of Andrea's advice and take that deep dive and give yourself a better playbook, a better outlook, a better outline of where you are on the raft. If you want to maybe even be in the pond, which there's no shame in that game. And took a deep dive of soul searching to see where you are in your business, where you need to be in your business in order to get to that dry land. All right. Well, hopefully this made some sense today or motivated you in a very philosophical way. All right, guys, remember to head on over to wingnutsocial.com if you need help marketing your interior design firm and that life jacket to help get you down that river of misery and make it a river of success and happiness. And until next time, get out there. Get uncomfortable and be great. Okay, here we go. Hey kids, and welcome to, my mic is too far from me and I can't hear myself. So go ahead on over, with ambitious women, and is the author of She Thinks Big, the entrepreneur. All right, last but not least, please rank.